Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about a law that has to walk this incredible tightrope. On one side, you've got life-saving miracles, and on the other, a potential black market. We're talking about India's Organ Transplant Act.
And that really is the central challenge, isn't it? I mean, this one question is pretty much the entire reason India's 1994 Organ Transplant Act even exists. How do you possibly create a system that's all about hope, without accidentally opening the door to one of horror?
So the Act itself lays out this dual mission right from the get-go. It's got two jobs. Job number one, regulate the whole process of removing and transplanting organs for therapy. And job number two, which is just as important, prevent any kind of commercial dealing. I mean, stopping the buying and selling of organs completely.
Okay, so how does the law actually handle this, the process of giving what is really the ultimate gift? Well, the rules for who can donate and who they can donate to are super specific. And trust me, there's a very, very good reason for that.
All right, so here's where we see this really crucial distinction the law makes. First, you've got living donors. For them, the law is incredibly strict. You can basically only donate to what's called a near relative. Think spouse, parent, child, sibling. And why? Well, it's all about preventing vulnerable people from being forced or paid to donate. Now, if you want to donate to someone outside that circle, you need special approval to prove it's genuinely out of affection, not for money. But then you have deceased donors, and in that case, the organ is treated like a national resource. It goes to whoever is next on the list and is the best medical match.
But this brings up a tricky question, right? What happens when a potential donor is on life support? This is where medicine and law have to work together in this really profound way. See, the moment of death isn't always as simple as a heart just stopping, and the law absolutely had to figure out how to address this. Otherwise, most deceased donations just wouldn't be possible. So here's the solution they came up with: legally defining something called brainstem death. Now, what is that? It's basically the point of no return. It's when the core functions of the brain have stopped, permanently and irreversibly. A person can be declared brainstem dead, and a ventilator can keep their body going, keeping the organs healthy enough for transplant. But, and this is a huge but, it can't just be one doctor's opinion. It has to be certified by a whole board of medical experts. No shortcuts.
And as you can imagine, this whole thing follows a very careful, very ethical checklist. It's not a rush job. Step one, they check if the person themselves authorized the donation before they died. If there's no record of that, then the decision falls to their family. And only after that official certification of brainstem death can a registered doctor go ahead. You can see how every single step here is designed to respect the donor and just make sure the whole process has total integrity.
So you've got all these important rules, but who's making sure they're actually being followed? I mean, a law is pretty much useless without enforcement, right? Well, the Act sets up some key groups to be the official watchdogs of the system.
Okay, so there are two main groups at the heart of this whole thing. First, you've got the appropriate authority. Think of them as the main regulators. They're the ones who give hospitals the green light to even perform transplants, and they can take that license away. Then there's the authorization committee. Their job is to look at those special cases, the living donors who aren't near relatives, and make absolutely sure every single one is legit. And let me be clear, these authorities are not just sitting behind a desk stamping papers. They have real teeth. They have the power to walk into a hospital and inspect it, investigate any complaint that comes their way, and they can even summon people for questioning and search a place if they think something shady is going on. This is what gives the law its real enforcement muscle. So that's the people enforcing the rules. But what about the places where these life-saving procedures actually happen? Well, the law also puts some really strict requirements on the hospitals and tissue banks themselves. And the number one most fundamental rule is super simple. Registration is everything. If a hospital is not officially registered under this act, it is legally forbidden from doing anything related to organ transplants. No removal, no storage, no transplantation. Full stop. It's the main way they control the system and make sure it's safe.
And getting registered is not a walk in the park. A hospital has to prove it has all the specialized equipment and facilities. And even more important, that it has the right people with the right skills. That includes having a dedicated transplant coordinator on staff. These aren't just suggestions, they're strict requirements to make sure any place doing transplants is capable, safe, and totally accountable.
All right, so we've seen all the rules for how to do things the right way. But what about when someone breaks them? What happens then? This, right here, is where the Act really shows its teeth and how it cracks down on the very black market it was created to destroy.
The penalties are, to put it mildly, severe. They draw a very clear line in the sand. If a doctor is involved in an unauthorized organ removal, they could be looking at up to 10 years in prison. But for anyone involved in the commercial trade of organs, the buying and selling, the punishment gets even harsher. We're talking massive fines and serious jail time. The message could not be clearer. This is not a business.
And when the law talks about commercial dealing, it casts a really wide net. It's not just about the person literally selling their kidney. Nope. It also includes offering to pay for an organ, looking for someone who's willing to sell, acting as a broker, or even just advertising for paid donors. The definition is intentionally broad like this to slam the door on every possible loophole someone might try to use to create a market for organs.
Just think about that number for a second. 1 crore rupees. That's a massive amount of money. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. It is a penalty that is specifically designed to make the idea of trading organs for cash an absolutely unthinkable financial risk. The potential profit just isn't worth it.
And really, it all comes back to the law's original purpose. This quote from the Act itself just sums it all up perfectly. It's all about finding that delicate balance, right? Regulating the good, the incredible, life-saving gift of transplantation, while at the very same time aggressively stamping out the bad, the crime of turning human life into a commodity.
But at the end of the day, a law can only do so much. It can create a safe and ethical framework, it can set the rules of the game, but what it can't do is create the impulse to donate. So that leaves us with a final, much bigger question, doesn't it? Beyond all the laws, all the regulations, all the committees, what is it, deep down in the human spirit, that inspires one person to give the ultimate gift of life to a complete stranger?